Have you ever wondered how is it that the public has come to such a misunderstanding about cops and race? Well, we're going to read an article today that's going to show you where this all comes from. Yeah, it's garbage, but we'll slog through it anyway. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
This concerns Patrick Lyoya. The title is Patrick Lyoya's Life Mattered. I've heard it pronounced Lyoya as well. I find it easier to pronounce it as Lyoya, so that's what we're going to do. And by the way, this article is by Lily Havstad, and it's total garbage. You'll see why here in a moment. All right, she starts off with a picture of a bus. Okay. And so it begins. In 2014, 18-year-old Patrick Lyoya resettled with his 5 younger siblings and their parents, Peter and Dorcas, in Michigan, United States, where they joined a growing population of Congolese refugees seeking better lives. That same year, Michigan native Christopher Schurr traveled to Kenya for a mission trip where he and his then fiancée, both white Americans, married. On the morning of April 4th, 2022, the two men would meet for the first and last time. Early that morning, Lyoya was pulled over by Schurr, now a police officer in Grand Rapids, Michigan, the state's second largest city. And by the way, he's not a police officer. He was fired. I would have assumed the writer would know that. Allegedly for driving with an unregistered license plate. What's wrong with that sentence? It's false. He wasn't pulled over for driving with an unregistered license plate. An unregistered license plate is one where you have the right plate on there, but maybe the dates on it is expired or something. No, he had the wrong plate on his car. At least that's what the cop is saying. How can you make this mistake? Well, this is done deliberately. She knows fully well that the wrong plate was on the car, but she doesn't want to describe it that way. And so she makes it an unregistered license plate, which probably all of us have been pulled over for at one point or another. And you know what happens? They say, hey, your plate's expired. You go, oh, I am so sorry. And they often just let you go, right? You know, like if it's been expired for a month or two, it's no big deal. This is something different entirely. The wrong plate on the car means that this car could be used in a crime, and any witnesses who see the car are going to trace it back to the wrong person. Gee, that sounds like a real serious issue that any cop should immediately pull a car over for, because you know what? You might be dealing with a car thief or somebody planning a robbery. Wrong plate on the car is nothing to sneeze at. Unregistered license plate is no big deal. In a matter of minutes, the traffic stop turned into a foot chase, a high-risk behavior, increasingly discouraged in police reform circles. Oh, so it's the cop's fault for chasing him. It's not Patrick Lyoya's fault at all. No mention of that. It's all the cop's fault for chasing him. That's what I hate about these darn police. You run away from a crime and they go after you. Why can't they just let you go free? Okay, a struggle. Yeah, a little bit more than that, wasn't it? And ultimately, an execution. While pinning Lyoya down and kneeling on his back, Schurr fatally shot Lyoya in the back of the head. Well, that's actually true, so I can't actually pick on that sentence. It's the only true sentence so far we have uncovered. More than 2 months later, on June 9th, Kent County prosecutor Chris Becker announced murder charges against Schurr. In a rare but welcome turn of events. Welcome turn of events. Gee, I wonder if the writer is biased here. This is an important development in the fight for greater accountability for police use of deadly force. Over the past 2 months, local leaders and activists have kept up the pressure. Groups like the Grand Rapids Association of Pastors, which includes the support of nearly 70 local pastors from across denominations, the Grand Rapids NAACP, the Black Civil Rights Organization, and other local leaders have been pressing authorities for transparency, accountability, and police reform in Grand Rapids. The police department there has been under investigation since 2019 by the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. In his statement, Becker argues that Schurr's use of deadly force cannot be characterized as self-defense. The defense disagrees, saying Lyoya's murder was justified. The Lyoya family will now have to endure the lengthy and painful legal battle ahead. Well, Christopher Schurr will as well. Oh, this is really gets really sick and disgusting. Listen to this. Perhaps Schurr's mission trip to Kenya is irrelevant to this latest example of America's lethal problem of over-policing of black communities. But we should acknowledge the cruel irony of a white savior dressed in blue who dressed like an African for his Christian mission wedding, pinning down a Congolese refugee and fatally shooting him in the back of the head in the name of self-defense. So you see, Christopher Schurr, you listening? You went to Africa to help them? Didn't do you a damn bit of good. They're using it against you. Not only was Patrick Lyoya the victim of a violent reality in America where black people are nearly 3 times as likely to be killed by police than white people, an extremely misleading statistic that gets thrown around a lot, he was also the victim of American austerity economics, where policing stands in as a response to the defunding of social services, and resettlement means acculturating to the impossible mathematics of pulling oneself up by their bootstraps without a safety net. So the whole thing is blamed on society and economics. That's why Patrick Lyoya fought the police officer, why he ran, why he grabbed the cop's taser. It's because he was poor. According to the people close to him, Lyoya worked hard to take care of his family. He wanted to buy or build a home for his mother as part of his quest to achieve a comfortable middle-class American life. He was also a father of 2 and an active member of the Congolese community, where he was known to help new arrivals find their footing. Lyoya attended the Restoration Community Church of the United Methodist Church, where Pastor Banza Makale, also a refugee who resettled in the U.S., remembered him as a hard-working young man who tried to make his future better. Okay, so you may be wondering, well, first of all, there's no mention of a taser anywhere. We kind of leave that out, don't we? Even though that's going to be the central part of the upcoming trial, she never mentions the taser and the fact that Patrick grabbed a hold of it. But you're also wondering, well, wait a minute now. What about his past, his drunk driving? He's been convicted already of 3 DUIs. He was on his 4th. What about the domestic violence? Well, we'll see how this author handles this. As much reporting as highlighted, Patrick's life was complicated. According to Pastor Joshua Menunji Kibezi of Kalamazoo, Michigan, who lived in Malawi as a refugee with the Lyoyas, Patrick sometimes worked 3 jobs to support himself and his family. Where's the discussion about his crimes? Well, hang on. But existing media profiles have highlighted Patrick's legal troubles dating back to 2015 without meaningfully reflecting on the ways in which resettlement policies intersect with anti-black biases in America that place refugees like Patrick firmly into a violent cycle of over-policing and under-resourcing of black immigrant lives. That's the reason why he went driving drunk so often. It's Whitey's fault. It's also Whitey's fault that he beat on his wife or his girlfriend or whatever. Remember, he had a felony warrant out for his arrest for that domestic abuse at the time when he was pulled over. I think it was a felony. I'd have to check on that. It might have been a misdemeanor, but whatever. He did have a warrant out for his arrest for domestic violence. But you see, it's all Whitey's problem. It's all Whitey's fault. And again, she doesn't tell you what he's done. Never once will she mention any of the actual incidences that he got himself in trouble with in the past. We're going to gloss right over that. In recent years, Grand Rapids, Michigan has become an important place of resettlement for refugees from the DRC. According to one source, between March and October of 2019, 319 out of 490 refugees who resettled in Michigan were Congolese. However, national resettlement numbers have significantly declined in recent years, particularly under the former Trump administration. This has meant that social services have also been slashed. Oh, there it is. We were always wondering, what caused Patrick Lyoya to drink so much and drive while drunk and beat his wife? Well, now we know it's Trump. Trump took out the social services that Patrick Lyoya was dependent on. Resettling in the U.S. is exceptionally hard, as sociologist Heba Gowayed shows in her new book that details American resettlement policies and their implications for Syrian refugees. Resettlement in America relies heavily on the notion of self-sufficiency, treating newcomers as American low-income workers. Well, they typically are low-income workers. And denying them crucial services for integrating into American economic and social life. Gee, I wonder what kind of services they would provide us if we immigrated to the Congo. Now, in light of the recent tragedy that has struck the refugee and Black community of Grand Rapids, Patrick's father, Peter, cautions those who may be thinking about seeking asylum in the area. I want to say, for those people who are seeking asylum here, refuge, I don't want you to think this is a safe place. I thought it was a safe place, but it seems like we are in danger even when we come here. So are you telling them not to come here? No. He still wants them to come. This is just a speech. He knows damn well that it's not more dangerous here than back in the Congo. That's why they came here, was because they were refugees of violence. So he's playing us up. Oh, it's really dangerous here in the United States. Oh my God, I thought we were coming to a real safe place. We didn't realize it was so murderous. Well, are you telling the people not to come here? Oh, no, they should still come. Unreal. As Swahili speakers, the Lyoyas have relied on translators for interviews. It is unclear from media reports how strong Patrick's English skills were. But New York Times reporting indicates that language was a barrier for him, possibly even in his encounter with Schurr on April 4th. False. Go back and watch what took place. He knew what the officer was telling him. When he said, "Need your driver's license," he opened the door and told his friend to get it for him. He didn't have one. It was suspended. But whatever the case, he knew what the officer was telling him. And by the way, how long does it take for a newcomer to any country to learn the new word stop? Whatever that word means in whatever language, stop is about the first thing you learn. And he said stop many times, and Patrick Lyoya didn't stop. Are you going to claim that that was a language barrier? Earlier this month, Michigan banned Swahili and Spanish dictionaries in its prisons, claiming that the book's contents are a threat to the state's penitentiaries. I don't know what that means, but I can guarantee you there's more to it than she's letting on. But this move begs the question, how many among the growing... Okay, that's not begging the question. Damn it, I'm tired of telling people this. Begging the question is a fallacy. It doesn't mean raise the question. What the author meant to say was raise the question. So we'll use that terminology. But this move raises the question. How many among the growing Congolese population in Michigan are landing in the prison system? Statistics are not readily available. However, data compiled by the Vera Institute of Justice shows that while black people make up 15% of Michigan's population, they make up 53% of the state's prison population and 37% of its jail population. Okay, we've heard this a million times. According to the New York Times, Patrick Lyoya had spent some time in and out of jail. And you're now going to tell us what he did, right? No. He has spent some time in jail. Well, what did he do? Keep that down. 3 DUIs. He was on his 4th. He blew an alcohol limit that was like 3 times the legal limit. How long before he killed somebody? Everybody out there becomes like, oh, drunk drivers, they're the worst, irresponsible. They have no regard for human life whatsoever. Well, Patrick Lyoya was driving drunk. Well, now it's not that big a deal. I mean, come on. We can't be too harsh, too judgmental. Never mind, he was on his 4th. And according to some readers' comments, Patrick's legal troubles, that's all it is, just legal troubles, like, he's being sued or something, seem to justify his murder, which is a sad reflection of how too many Americans uncritically think about crime. Oh, look who's talking. It's kind of hard to critically think about crime when evidence and information and statistics and facts are withheld from you by the authors of these articles. To think critically, you need good information, but she's keeping it from you. She's not mentioning the taser. She's not mentioning anything about Patrick Lyoya's background, really, anything negative. Everything is all swept under the rug, and then she's complaining that, we don't think critically about crime. Okay, so going back, too many Americans uncritically think about crime, violent and nonviolent, as a reflection of the individual more than as a reflection of America's austerity economics and deepening social divides. It's a reflection of the individual. When a person commits a crime, it's a reflection on them. We can't even blame criminals anymore for the crimes they commit. Oh, we can if it's a police officer who commits an offense while he's pulling somebody over. Now it becomes a part of the individual. For example, let's see, Christopher Schurr. Is Christopher Schurr, his crime is going to be swept under the rug as being sort of a general mirror of society, or are they going to go after him personally? Patrick Lyoya's case has drawn national attention. The Reverend Al Sharpton, oh my God, as soon as he gets involved, critical thinking just plummets. Al Sharpton eulogized Patrick at his funeral on April 22nd, and Patrick's parents hired well-known civil rights attorney Ben Crump. Oh my God, there's another one. Davion Smith, a Black Lives Matter activist and cousin to Breonna Taylor, a Grand Rapids native, has helped organize marches calling for justice for Patrick and his family. Okay, I have no problem with that. Patrick Lyoya's life mattered. Black Lives Matter. It didn't matter too much to Patrick because he did everything he could to get shot. Okay, he goes out, drives blistering drunk, nailed 3 times. He was on his 4th. How much does he care about his own life? Tries to run from cops, gets in a fight with cops, grabs the cop's taser, but he cared about his life? If Patrick Lyoya cared about his life, he would have done what the officer told him. So there you have it. Junk article. And the people reading it have been treated very unfairly here. They're getting a total whitewash. They have not been told the true facts. And so now they are free to go on to Twitter and make fools of themselves, pushing a narrative that's not even true. Like my video, subscribe to my channel.